Good evening or good afternoon. Hello, guys, and welcome to our podcast today, Hardworking Dads. This week, we are going to talk about self care. What is self care? Why is it important? Recognizing the need for self care and types of self care and finding time for your self care. Let's welcome RJ. How are you doing today, RJ?
Thanks, Curtis. I'm doing awesome. How about you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'm excited with what we're doing here with this hardworking dads. It's for everybody out there who's doing what they got to do, struggling to get by, and still trying to find time for themselves. You know what I mean? Trying to be a dad and unwind and still create a happy home. So I love what we're doing here. So and kudos to you for putting this together. I love what you've been doing with your broadcast, your posts. I know people are tuning in for it, so I hope they get value out of this.
For sure. So, do you have any tips that you use for your personal self care, RJ?
We'll get into that, I think. You know what I mean? But first of all, let's just start talking about what is self-care, because there are a lot of dads out there that don't embrace this side of life, right? They just figure, and I'm not going to lie, they don't like to even acknowledge that they may need self-care, right? Or even the term of self-care might be something that would set them off into a path that would be frustrating, angry, you know what I mean? Because I don't need self-care. Who am I? We don't need this stuff. I'm a hardworking dad. I just need to go and work, and that's all I need. And then I come home, take care of my family. So I don't need this kind of stuff, right? So I wanted to take a moment to just talk about self-care and just say, look, and from my point of view, we'll get your point of view in a second as well on it, because from my point of view, I think just self-care is that time we need as people to unwind, to shut down everything else, because we have so much going on in our lives, right? We have to work a full-time job. We have to pay the bills. We have to make sure our family's taken care of. Our wives and our kids are taken care of. And there's always so much stresses that they're going through, and that affects us, right? So I think we do need to just take some time to shut down, to connect with ourselves, and whatever that may be. And we'll get into some different types of self-care, but whatever that may mean to each individual.
Right on.
What is self-care to you?
To me, well, it's time by yourself doing things that you like. It could be a hobby. It could be reading a book, while maybe watching your favorite TV show or something. Going to the gym, staying fit, some stress relieving stuff like that. Mowing the lawn and stuff. I guess that's a second job, but some people might find that a zen way of relaxing. Sometimes mowing the lawn or doing the trimming is like, I find trimming the lawn is really relaxing for me.
Right, because at that time you get by yourself, right? You get away from everything else. So we'll get into the different types of self-care, but I think we're both on the same page that it's just time to connect with yourself. Shut everybody out and just get back into
it's a little me time, right? Everybody needs that, men and women, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's important because, like I just said, there's so much going on in our lives, right? We're just busy, especially in this day and age. We're just busy, and hardworking dads, some of them are working 10, 12-hour days plus commute time. So there's 12 to 14 hours of our day taken away with work and struggling with whatever that may mean. And then we come home, and then there's the household. Now, in many cases, not all, I'm not going to put stereotypes on this, but in many cases, the wife takes care of the home, right? She makes sure that the dishes are done, dinner's done, the food is on the table, the clothes are put away. In many cases, that's how
like a traditional home.
I pride my wife because she works a full-time job too. I'm not sure about yours, but she works a full-time job too. But then she comes home and makes sure the house is all situated and cleaned and everybody's cared for and taken. All those little things are done. So I give her kudos for that. I always applaud my wife for that. And I make sure, guys out there, make sure you give your wife that appreciation if that's what she does for your home as well.
Yeah, no problem. So I think it's pretty easy. Just got to say something nice, right? Hopefully most men out there do that for their wives.
Yep. And then so recognizing the need for self-care.
Absolutely. We definitely need to recognize that, because a lot of times we just work and then people build up a stress and then find a coping mechanism sometimes, and it's not always the healthiest way.
Right.
But sometimes you just got to think a little bit about your personal time. And I think hopefully men understand that it's not always about working and trying to provide for your family, but you do need your time. But some men do it, some not all, but some have that They might have a workshop out back they go into, or maybe they have a hobby with their friends or go golfing. But you can't like dedicate all your time to yourself. Obviously, you got to balance,
Right.
right? Just set boundaries to things that you're doing so that you're not like, oh, I go to work 12 hours and then I spend all weekend at the golf course and not spending time with the family. So you got to diversify your time properly so everyone's gets their time with you and they enjoy it, and you also are enjoying that time with them. So you're in the moment, not thinking about work, not thinking about whatever else in your life that may be causing problems for you. When your family time, your personal time, and work time. So it's like cutting the boundary as well with yourself so that you can stay in the moment and enjoy that moment. So you have those memories for that person that you're with and people you're with. So they're not forgetting that, oh, you're here, but you're like your mind and whatever else is somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So
And
I
so
think
there's three things you touched on there that I'd like to just reiterate for people. First of all, is we have to know when we're at that point where we need to unwind or we need to find another avenue to recharge, right? And then the second point, it's not always healthy the way that we release this pressure, right? And if we don't take the time to recognize it, that I'm getting to that point, I'm getting frustrated, I'm getting angry for no reason whatsoever. That's often what it is. I'm pissed off and I don't know why.
yeah.
It's because you need to take time, find that opportunity to just step away, recharge, and take a moment for your self-care. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I usually find if I go to the gym before or after work, I find my stress levels are pretty low generally. I don't get sort of worked up about things as much because you can get that dopamine and those good feeling chemicals going when you're at the gym, right?
The endorphins or whatever. And absolutely, because a lot of times as men, we don't recognize that. Or again, when you're working 10, 12, 14-hour days, you feel you have time for the gym. But
Right.
like you just said, 30 minutes before your day to just stretch, exercise, to get your body flowing and the blood flowing in the right direction, gets those endorphins. And endorphins are the chemical that releases those good feelings, that high energy.
Yeah.
So we need that. And then the third thing you touched on, though, was boundaries, right? Setting those boundaries, telling people that this is something I won't accept, that I don't allow people to do this. And that's not a bad thing to say, no, you know what? I don't go there. Or like you said, this is my family time. Sorry, you can't interrupt me during my family time, right?
Yeah.
Some people have rules of no cell phones at the table so that they can connect with family. Like little things like that can make a difference. So recognizing that I need time to just step away is one of the most important aspects that we can have as men.
And sometimes just asking a friend for help will also trigger something too, right? Because sometimes those little reminders that you might need to encourage you and maybe not take it as a threatening type of comment sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Because as men, we get offended. Who are you telling me this?
What to do, yeah.
But you know what? If you have a trusted partner, like you and I rely on each other, right?
Yep.
And I think we can tell each other just about everything. So having that person you trust who can tell you those things that are harsh sometimes, right? You may not, as a man, want to hear, but knowing that you rely on this person, you can accept what they say are in your best interest.
Yeah.
And therefore accept what they're saying. And maybe that's another way to recognize the need, is to have somebody who holds you accountable for your actions.
So you have a good friendship and you maintain those, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And so let's talk about the different types of self-care. You've talked about several of them today.
Yep.
I know you and I like to read. Right?
I do.
We take in lots of information, lots of books. We read for information a lot of times, right?
Yep.
But do you read for leisure? Do you read a leisure book at all?
Not usually, no.
I do. I always make sure, because I read a lot of information, right? A lot of it is for
like
knowledge.
a fictional book, right?
Yeah, I pick up a fictional book. Right now I'm actually or even audiobooks. It doesn't have to be right now. I'm reading a book called The 13 Stones. It's about like a mystic. It's a little bit mystic, it's a little bit, fantasy, but I'm also listening to Lord of the Rings again.
Oh, wow.
Those things that take you out of the real world into a fantasy world, taking some time for leisure rather than absorbing this information all the time.
I like watching movies myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's movies with family, which is great, but there's for me, there's movies I can't watch with my wife. Right? She doesn't like this style of movie, but I want to watch it. But so taking that time to go into your own office or your own den or something and watching this movie on your own,
Yeah,
a way to unwind and be by yourself.
Absolutely. It's pretty awesome.
And then we talked about different activities. You go to the gym in the morning. You talked about golf, any sporting activities. Those are good ways to unwind and connect with friends, right? So you're not by yourself necessarily, but you're connecting with other people. But you're kicking those endorphins in so that you're getting that feel-good experience, which takes you away from the stress and the aggravation.
For sure. So basically, you're scheduling your time in to do certain things, so that helps too. Instead of just randomly, oh, I'll do this today, I'll do that. You actually have a set time, your set work times. Let's say you work time 9 to 5, so you only have a couple hours before, so you can go to the gym before, like from 7:30 to 8:30. Then you're ready for work to go work for 9, or maybe after work. You finish at 5, you can be at the gym by 5:30. Something like that. Dinner time could be 6:37. So schedule, or you even schedule time with your family, so you're home at 7, from 7 to 8 or so. When the kid goes to bed, you spend time with them and the family only. Then after 9:30, you can do your own thing again with the wife, right?
I love that, because a lot of times one of the things we struggle with as men is scheduling our time so that it's productive, it's in line with the life we'd like to live. We lose track because we don't keep it scheduled. I love that. And then, of course, we need to be able to recognize the difference between I'm frustrated, I'm aggravated, I need to walk away, which is immediate. I need to do something right now. Or scheduling it in, which helps to relieve the stress. And then I will say other stuff, something you just mentioned is, you go to the gym for around 5:30 or something like that. You have dinner at 6:30. They actually say, or if you eat within 20 minutes of exercise, still burning calories. So as you're taking in that food intake, you're still burning some of the calories. So you're not going to gain a lot of weight. So you fit by scheduling that in right after your exercise.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. It's funny how different things can work for your benefit just by doing certain routines, right?
And you know what? I'm not going to slight anybody who has different lifestyles, because you know what? Sometimes getting away with the guys, you know what I mean? Going out for a beer, you know what I mean? Going out for a beer and spending half an hour to 2 hours with the guys just to jive and be alone and just be a guy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not unhealthy. It's unhealthy as well as any of these things. Even exercise is unhealthy if you abuse it. If you use it too much. But you know what, going away and just checking out and having a beer or having some social time in that environment is just as healthy as getting time in at the gym. And right, in the sense that we're talking about self-care.
Well, your sociability, right? Hanging with people of similar interests and types of people, right? So what do you think about staying healthy, like having regular checkups with the doctor, mental and physical checkups and stuff?
I'm a diabetic, so I visit my doctor every 3 months. Plus, I have coaching with some health professionals. But you're right. You know what? We as men, we tend to think, oh, I don't need that.
I don't need a doctor.
Go to the doctor. Nobody needs to tell me. But you know what? We all have health problems. Our bowels are not always healthy. Our movements are not always healthy. But there's other complications that we can always have, right? I recommend going to see a doctor, talking to a healthcare professional. And look, even if you can't go to see a doctor, we have in Canada anyways, we have this health line, right? Telehealth, where we can just call up a professional and ask some advice saying, look, here's my symptoms. Here's what I'm going through. What do I need to do here? And they'll give you some guidance. Yes, they're going to more often than not tell you, look, you probably need to go see your doctor. And so I would say those regular appointments, regular checkups, to just make sure that all cylinders are firing, some blood work once in a while to make sure to check for cancers, blood disorders, and things of that nature. I think all of us as men need to do, especially again, once we get into the 40s and 50s, we have to worry about our colon and our prostate and all of these things. So we need to take care physically of our health and well-being.
Absolutely. Someone hear a funny dad joke?
Absolutely, always.
Sure. What do you call a dad?
Dad who takes a spa day. Nope, can't picture anything. A bubbled father?
Bubble father, because in the bath.
A bubble father. All right, we'll go with that one. And then, so I think we've talked about the last one, which is just finding time for self-care. I think we talked about how,
hey, my friend so-and-so, I'm having problems with this. It's like, oh, do this. Or sometimes you might just need that extra support from your family, friends, or wife, or those close to you, right? Let you know that, hey, maybe your attitude's not right, or, oh, why'd you skip the gym today? Or
we have to have that schedule, right? Putting it into a sequence that's going to allow us to have the most effective lifestyle. that's important to us, right?
And it's
So,
not a selfish time either, right? You're not being selfish with that, as we all
right.
maintain our own personal health, energy, and then by having our cup filled, basically within, we can help other people fill their cups accordingly, right? So I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. And you know what? It might be 30 minutes. It might be an hour. It might be,
Yeah,
right?
you
Just
never know.
take a
Yeah,
whole day for yourself. There is nothing wrong with that. As long as you realize you have other priorities that you have
yep,
to get back to. And that's the reason you're taking this time away.
yeah, for sure. So, is there anything else you want to add to today's?
I think we had a quick, very, very concise discussion, and
Yep,
I hope people get value out of it. I don't want to overload people when we talk about these issues. I think we delved into self-care, and I think we gave them a lot of information on how they can go and help themselves.
sure. I know maybe there's some spiritual people as well that may have. There's some spiritual time for some people that are into that too, right? I think we forgot about that topic. Because we talk mental, physical, and there's also the spiritual side. Some people like going to church, praying to God, reading the Bible, whatever it may
Meditation,
be. Yep,
just
yep,
connecting with the spirit.
absolutely. I think we might have forgotten that one a little bit
No, I'm glad you brought that up. Way to go.
because there's always a three parts. I missed that one at the end. All right, so let's finish up here with one last dad joke. You ready?
I'm always ready. Well, I
Okay,
don't know if I'm ever ready for them, but
sure. Why did the overworked father finally take a vacation?
don't know.
He needed some time to relief. The word time and then relief.
All right. I'll give you that one.
The punny. It's all punny. Guys, this is it for the Hardworking Dad podcast for this week. Thank you for joining us. RJ, any final words?
No, just again, I hope everybody enjoys it. Keep tuning in. If you like what we have to say, please subscribe for more.
And from the bottom.
And we'll be back next week.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.